degree now. And she has authored 2 books, and she is the Vice President of the Institution's Innovation Council, coordinator of the SWAYAM cell, member of the research cell, and she is such a person who works with her fingers to the bone and always goes the extra mile. And she is a high flyer who's hungry for knowledge and success. With these few words, I just welcome Dr. B. Amudambigai to start her session on OBE.
Thank you, Selva ma'am.
Yes.
My humble pronouns to our revered boss, my dear, beloved and dynamic principal, Madam Principal, respected controller of examinations, and my dear fellow faculty friends from our institutions and other institutions, a very good afternoon to one another present here. I feel very happy and proud to be a member of this 10 days webinar series. I would like to convey my sincere gratitude and sincere thanks to our dynamic Madam Principal for offering me a chance for the same. Equally, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude and thanks to my gurus, Dr. M.K. Uma, and our Controller of Examinations, Dr. E. Roja, for offering their valuable suggestions towards the content of the first topic. In today's webinar, we are going to see 2 topics. The first one is effective design and delivery of curriculum in outcome-based education. Let us see at first the basic intro for OBE. Outcome-based education is abbreviated as OBE. It is a comprehensive approach for organizing and operating a curriculum that is focused on and defined by the successful demonstrations of learnings out from each learner. The term clearly means focusing and organizing everything in an education system around what is essential for all learners to be able to do successfully at the end of their learning experiences. In order to frame a good curriculum in OBE, we need to know about the action points of LOBE. LOBE means clear. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. LOBE means learning outcome-based education, which gives a clear picture of what is important for students to be able to do, organizing the curriculum, instruction, and assessment to make sure that learning ultimately happens. Now let us see what are all the action points of LOBE. The first one is to define exit outcomes through active participation of all stakeholder groups. We all know that stakeholder group means there we will consider parents, alumni, and industrialist, society, all those. So with their feedback analysis, after getting their feedback analysis, it is needed to define exit outcomes through active participation. And the second one is to redefine the performance and the standards to provide regular reports on actual student learning levels in all key outcome areas. So depends on the levels of students. It is necessary to refix the standards. So is necessary to redefine the performance and standards to provide regular reports on actual student learning levels in all key outcome areas. The next one is to redesign a future-focused curriculum with a problem and issue-based content focus and continuous development of student abilities along with all major competence dimensions. So, in order to fix our curriculum, as we are given the liberty to redesign the curriculum then and there, depends on the latest issues and trendy needs. We need to fix the best curriculum, and the recent issue-based curriculum can be fixed in order to impart the basic knowledge and necessary things to students on the betterment of better performance. The next one is to develop high engagement, high activity classrooms staffed by a variety of internal and external experts with continuous emphasis on multimodality active learning by individuals and learning teams. So we have to encourage the students to expose their knowledge individually as well as by means of a team, and that can be done by offering our own knowledge to students, and that must be done through the internal faculty as well as by external faculty. So in order to achieve this one, the faculty must be updated on all the times. Encourage learning by performing in authentic and real-world settings and promote extensive use of high technology tools and applications. So then all the sources offering high technology tools must be collected by us. We, the faculty members, must be the role models to students, and the same thing must be conveyed to students. The last one is to promote use of focused learning and resource centers with expanded access to facilities, materials, and learning resources. So this is of course naturally true. Only then the students can develop and improve their knowledge in multi-dimensions. During this pandemic period, it is not possible by the students to go for library and to collect the necessary books. So in that time, during that situation, we the faculty generally using the website Library Genesis and EZ Library, which are mainly used to download 90% of our textbooks as well as our reference books. So we may share our knowledge and such website details to our dear students whenever it is necessary, and also we may try to have even a virtual tour using the latest tool or app available in namely Google Earth, that is available both in our mobile as well as in our laptop. So the significant advantage of LOBE is in bringing out reforms in curriculum framework that has to be outcome based. And we have to ever keep the following points in order to frame a very good curriculum. That is, constant graduation of academic resources, raising quality of research and teaching, technology integration in the teaching learning processes, bringing out clarity among students as to what is expected from them after completion of the program, and for teachers in bringing out focus on what to teach, how to teach, and evaluate. Here comes the learning performance from it, and then it starts from the institution's goal, that is institution's vision and mission. That will lead to program education objectives, which will lead to program learning outcomes. LOBE is a dynamic and flexible framework which allows organizations to design their institutional specific program education objectives to evolve continuously along with evaluation of social systems. And then the program learning outcomes lead to identification of competencies from which one may derive multiple indicators. So, institutions' goal will lead to program education objectives, which will lead to program learning outcomes, that will lead to competencies, that will be identified, that will lead to performance indicators, because the program learning outcomes can be judged by means of two types of competencies. One is related with academic, other one is related with co-curricular and extracurricular activities, and all these can be done by measuring the performance indicators, which will be connected with the course learning outcome, that will lead to course design, which is in interconnection with assessment and teaching learning methodologies. Then the course design will be leading the result analysis. Finally, from the result analysis, we must be ready to get the feedback from the stakeholders so that we can review the analysis. Necessary action plan must be taken here in order to improve the quality of students. So in such a way, again, this improvement will be connected with all these key factors what we have discussed here. When we talk about the program education objectives, these are all the necessary inputs that will yield the program education objectives. That means, of course, here the stakeholders will be in list: students, parents, society, environment, national interest, regional interest, as well as professional bodies. Then, now we are seeing the V-shaped systems engineering process model for LOBE. In this V-shaped model, we are having the program education objectives at first, which will lead the program outcomes, and that will lead the curriculum design. This will lead the course design, that will give the best assessment management plan, by which we can get the course implementation. Here comes the attainments of the course. Likely, here on the right hand side, we can start from the assessment of PEOs, and that should be mapped with the course outcomes, and that will lead to course level assessments. Finally, in the next direction also, we can reach the course implementation. Now let us see them one by one. Program education objectives, generally abbreviated by PEOs. They must be consistent with the mission of the institution. So first of all, and when we think about OBE, at first we should frame the vision and the mission of the institution. Then followed by that, we have to frame the PEOs. And framing these PEOs, we have to keep all these points in our mind. Then the next one is stakeholders should participate in framing of PEOs. This is must. PEOs should be based on the needs of stakeholders, and total number of PEOs must be manageable, because here we may have the two types of varieties. One may be arts and science college, other one may be engineering colleges. So depends on the arts and science colleges and engineering colleges, the number of PEOs can be fixed by ourselves. Then PEOs must be achievable by the program. PEOs must be specific to the program. At the same time, they should not be too narrow, similar to PLOs. PLOs means program learning outcomes. They are abbreviated as PLO, and sometimes they can also be said as PO. PLOs shall be based on graduate attributes of the program. Graduate attributes means that is a set of skills as listed here, that is in connection with proactive, creative, responsible, collaborative, articulate, and knowledgeable. So such types of skills can be developed, and that should be done on framing this PLOs. Then we have to focus on CO or CLO, named as course learning outcomes. They are knowledge every student is expected to gain at the completion of each course. This is true. So at the end of the course, the knowledge obtained by the students are given here. And such CLOs should contribute to attain PLOs such that each CLO should address at least one PLO, and each PLO must be reasonably addressed by adequate CLOs. Next one is the assessment management plan. An assessment management plan should detail the assessment strategy for both program and course levels. It is important to identify the type of assessment for each course and timelines. This is must because we may have some courses as theory and some courses may be related with practicals. So depends on the nature of the course. We have to identify the type of assessment. That's why here we are given that CBCS pattern. 10 years back, we were not aware of this CBCS pattern. CBCS means choice-based credit system. Only after entering into the CBCS pattern, we are given liberty to choose as well. We, the faculty, as well as the students are given liberty to choose their own interested subjects. So, it depends on the nature of the course. We must be ready to identify the type of assessment. And recently, UGC has approved a few objectives for improving the quality of higher education institutions. They are all listed here. In order to improve graduate outcomes, improve graduate outcomes so that at least 50% of the students should secure employability. 50% of the students must get a job immediately after completing their programs. Link students with the society and industry such that at least 2/3 of them engage in socially productive activities during their course of study. That's why we are instructed to provide group projects nowadays to students. Train students in professional and soft skills such as teamwork, communication skills, time management skills, and so on that inculcate human values and spirit of entrepreneurship, critical thinking among students. So on fixing our curriculum itself, we must be having a deep knowledge of focusing these areas. On fixing our curriculum, we must be ready to fix a few courses related with innovative topics of the respective programs. And also, we should not forget about this entrepreneurship. Such type of courses must be implemented to all types of programs and ensure that vacancies for teachers does not exceed 10% of the sanctioned strength, and all teachers are oriented towards emerging trends in their respective domains. So these are the necessary objectives approved by UGC. In order to achieve those objectives, we must take these initiatives, conducting induction programs at the very first day, on the very first day when first year students entering into the college, then ICT based learning. Nowadays, as we are conducting online classes, definitely we must be knowing about that those ICT based learning in our programs. Depends on our subject, what are all the latest tools available must be given to students. Development of soft skills, promoting quality research, industry and social connected group projects, examination reforms, tracking students' progress after course completion, and also learning outcome based curriculum framework. On training our curriculum, we should keep all these points in our mind. Induction training for all new teachers, teachers as well as for students. There is a website known as NEAT, N-E-A-T. This website is run by AICTE, which offers industrial-oriented training, mentorship, sponsorship to both faculty as well as to students. So, whenever it is necessary, we may make use of such chances and then mentoring of non-accredited institutions to get accreditation by 2022. Here, I have listed a sample work and talking on framing PEOs and PLOs related with the academic objectives. What are all the key factors we can remember? They are all listed here. So related with academic objectives, for framing PEOs, we should consider intellectual strength, general knowledge, scientific temper, self-reliance, interdisciplinary exposure, aptitude, independent thinking, reasoning ability, habit of learning. They are
Dear
actually
participants, please mute your mics. Yes, you can proceed, Ambika.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. They are not fixed one. In such a way, we can extend the same list yet. And similarly, on framing our PLOs related with academic objectives, we have to keep all these factors in our mind. That is, professional knowledge, problem analysis, design and development of solutions, conduct investigation of complex problems, innovation and entrepreneurship, individual and teamwork, communication, occasional and industry exposure, lifelong learning. Related with moral and spiritual values and framing these PEOs, we can consider emotional maturity, ethical values, simple living, selfless service, humility, truthfulness, dignity of labor, high moral character, physical and mental wellness. Likely, for the same on framing PLOs, we have to consider professional ethics, integrated value system, physical and mental wellness. So, related with social sensibilities for framing PEOs, we should consider national culture and heritage, tolerance and diversity, national integration, understanding rural life, civil sense, respect for rights. For the same and framing PLOs, education and society, environment and sustainability, national constitution, culture and heritage, social sensibilities and rural development. All these must be kept in our mind on framing our curriculum. Accordingly, we have to frame it. Now here, I have listed a few samples on framing how to connect those PLOs with PEOs. Suppose we are considering the PLO related with the disciplinary and professional knowledge. That must be, we must ensure whether this one is connected with intellectual strength and interdisciplinary exposure or not. Also, and considering about problem analysis as one of the key factors of PLOs, we must ensure that one is connected with intellectual strength, reasoning ability and aptitude of PEOs or not. Likely, each and every PLO must be in connection with PEOs with the respective key factors. These are all the key factors listed by UGC. So we can collect them at any time. The same thing is arranged here for mapping. For example, I have collected how to map them. And talking about the mapping, we must know about the revised Bloom's taxonomy factors. They are all remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate and create. And here the notable thing is we should not say them as Bloom's taxonomy. We should call them as only revised Bloom's taxonomy. Here it is only an example work. Suppose we consider engineering knowledge, apply the knowledge of mathematics, science, engineering fundamentals, and an engineering specialization for the solution of complex engineering problem as one of the PLOs. Then how to assess the strategy of such competency and indicators related with this PLO, and how to map the same thing with the revised Bloom's taxonomy. That is what given here. Suppose we consider the competency as demonstrating competence in mathematical modeling, then the respected indicators will be applying mathematical techniques such as calculus, linear algebra, and statistics to solve problems. As we have taken such key indicators here, they must be definitely mapped with remembering, understanding, applying, and analyzing. Likely, suppose we take the indicators as one of the indicators as applying advanced mathematical techniques to model and solve mechanical engineering problems means that must be mapped with these Bloom's taxonomy key factors, that is remembering, understanding, and applying. Likely, here is a sample work for linking PLOs and COs by using revised Bloom's taxonomy. This is also a sample work where mapping assessment types to revised Bloom's taxonomy levels for courses related to the academic discipline are given here. So suppose we choose one of the assessment types as daily home assignment objectives means that must be mapped with remembering, because on every day they remember the concepts what we taught during our classes. Suppose it is given as subjective. Objective means that must be mapped with the remembering. The same thing with the subjective means that must be mapped with understanding. Then class assignment must be mapped with both remembering and understanding level. Likely, we can map the remaining factors and parameters also. So now let us, after getting the sufficient knowledge about the characteristics of OBE, now we are ready to talk about the curriculum of OBE. In order to talk about that curriculum, first of all, we should know about the long-term course outcomes as well as the short-term outcomes. The long-term outcomes always can be obtained from the institution's goal and PEOs. Short-term courses are obtained from institutions' POs and COs. And framing the curriculum, we must have these 4 questions in our mind. What do you want the students to learn? What do you want them to learn it? How can you best help the students learn it? How will you know what they have learned? In order to answer those questions, we can follow this cycle. That is, in step 1, we have to define the results to be measured. Then, we have to identify the data required and we have to identify the sources required for the same. Next, we have to review existing assessment methods. Then, apart from them, you have to give additional methods. One new method may be introduced here, and then the implementation and evaluation must be considered in step 5. That should be again must be connected with defining the results to be measured. These are all the 3 types of learning outcomes we must aim to get at the end of the course. That is disciplinary knowledge and skills, generic skills, attitudes and value. So in order to design the curriculum, most of the senior professors are suggesting to introduce the new courses based on the expertise of faculty. This is not compulsory, but this is only a suggestion by most of the senior professors. That is to introduce the courses based on expertise of faculty. Then syllabus. When you frame the syllabus, we must allot the books. We must take the textbooks as well as the reference books, the latest copy of the books and reference books. Then in case of observation, we must follow these codes. The background of the students were not considered. That is not necessary. Then the length of the syllabus must be taken for count. Length of the syllabus means that may be for one subject we may offer 40 hours For another subject, for another course, we may offer 50 hours. So the depends on the content of the syllabus and depends on the quality. We must fix the length of the syllabus. And framing the question paper, we should consider definitely this goal. That means the questions must be from understanding level to higher order thinking level. Definitely, our course content must be related with industry. That's why UGC instructs us to have the point that after completing a program, at least 50% of the students must be engaged in some jobs. Then role-ready graduate or engineer. Then competency, what are all the skills they are going to get by using our latest curriculum, that must be counted here. There may be a few exceptions because some students may be very talented. So for them alone, we can offer some advanced courses, as well as they may be allowed to do more work. Some mini online examinations also may be instructed them to do. So these are all teacher-centric focus. But generally, our curriculum design must be having the focus, that is to having the aim, shifting focus must be from teacher-centric to learner-centric. Because in the earlier days, before entering to this CBCS pattern, we had the fixed hours to all 5 modules. For all 5 modules, we had fixedly 20 hours or 15 hours like that. But now we are given freedom to decide it by ourselves. So depends on the content of each module, we can vary the timings of the respective modules. So the course level must consist of these two, that is the course design, which in course design we can consider the course outcomes obtained at the end of the course, and the content delivery must be related with theory, practical, project, assignment, tutorial, seminar. Additionally, nowadays we are instructed to instruct and encourage the students to go for internship also. And then it is always getting knowledge through the core papers alone is not possible. So we must encourage our students to do some extracurricular activities and co-curricular activities. For that, we have to identify the right sources and resources which offer such extracurricular activities. That is what we must do in case of assessment. And coming to the faculty development, the faculty must be instructed to keep on develop their knowledge then and there by attending many more faculty development programs and trainings. Then the continuous improvement of the students can be obtained just by getting the feedback and analysis from stakeholders. The same thing must be taken after getting their feedback, the necessary action must be taken, and the same thing must be implemented for the next set. Then, coming to this OBE framework, we must have these 4 things in our mind. First of all, we must frame our curriculum in OBE model with CBCS pattern. But at the same time, we should not miss our core papers, because then and there every new system say us to introduce many more curricular activities and through non-major elective and non-major skill-based papers. Even though they are all necessary, we should have a minimum core and basic requirements related to the main programs. Then there should be a balanced curriculum. All those things must be in choice-based credit system. In order to achieve this one, we must have the constructive alignment among learning outcomes that can be done through learning activities and assessment. And talking about this balanced curriculum, these 4 are the parameters that should be that will included in the balanced curriculum. They are all fundamental system and application. We must impart these knowledges. Related to these one, we have to fix our curriculum. When we consider the 5 modules of any course, definitely all these 4 things must be given equal weightage. Classical versus state of art. Traditional methods also must be introduced. At the same time, the existing knowledge also must be imparted to students. Course articulation matrix and a program articulation matrix. That means for course articulation matrix, we have to consider the mapping between COs and POs as well as the mapping between POs and PSOs. And in program articulation matrix, we have to take the average of all those mappings. And definitely, industry supported courses must be included in our curriculum. Then the choice-based credit system, this is a well-known thing to all of us. Flexible structure in the curriculum that is suitable for foundation, core, elective, skill-oriented courses and projects. Those things must be added. At the same time, we must allow the students to do many more online examinations. Online examinations means many sources are there, not only Swayam. Other than that, Swayam, many online examination sources are there. Even that NEET, NEAT is also an online source where the students can go and write online examination in order to get industry oriented knowledge. On doing those things, the students must be offered extra credits so that they will be encouraged, and this is what the CBCS pattern. So expected changes for OBE implementation means, and these are all the changes needed. There are modifying existing curriculum, then revise course content and structure, introduce innovative delivery and teaching learning method, introduce innovative assessment and evaluation tools, introduce system of data and evidence collection, continuous quality improvement. And talking about this innovative delivery, there is a source known as Institutions Innovation Council offered by Ministry of Education. This IIC is mainly focusing on innovations by faculty as well as by students. Before entering to this CBCS pattern, that means 10 years back, our India was in the rank above 18th rank of getting patent. But now, after in the recent years, heavy development was done towards these innovations. Because of that reason, now we are in the rank of 42 in patent. So this shows how innovations, how CBCS pattern have changed improved and developed the knowledge of faculty and students towards innovations. Here is one sample work. This is a latest issue. During this pandemic period, even the pandemic period, St. Xavier's College of Mumbai, using their liberty to offer their exam grading system. Instead of 60 to 40, they are offering the exam grading pattern as 50 to 50. And this was achieved by considering the project-based learning. Project-based learning, they have arranged some structure, and because of that reason, they were able to, because of that freedom, they were able to achieve this 50-50 exam grading pattern. This is what expected from UGC from us. This is what expected from us by UGC. And we must feel very pride, because in all over world, these are all the countries have introduced OBE and following the OBE pattern. We must feel very pride as one among the members of this list. To conclude, curricular implementation involves the coordination of a variety of factors at differing levels of a system. Curricular effectiveness is an integrated judgment based on interpretation of a number of scientifically valid evaluations that combine social values, empirical evidence, and theoretical rationales. With the implementation of OBE, every student's progress can be tracked based on their performance and the differential growth at various stages or levels, which adheres to the education standard set by NEP. With the mapping of PO-CO, the best suited assessments, question-wise outcome calculation, teachers can even be sure of factors that have helped them to improve based on the final outcome sheet. Such a teaching learning process accelerates the chances of gaining certification from the NAC board as well as from NBA and opening the doors of quality education for students. So, outcome-based education possesses the power to transform the learning experience of students and must be embraced by educational institutions for enhancing their knowledge and skills. With these points, I would like to conclude my first topic. And now, I would like to start the next topic that is of course related with the OBE. The next topic is Emerging Technologies for Education and Research in Industry 4.0. Before coming to that Industry 4.0, we must have the knowledge of Industry 1.0, 2.0 and 3.0. Industry 1.0 exchanged human power with power of steam. When James Watt introduced the steam engine in the 18th century, with the mechanization, production and transportation systems transformed, consequently there was an important increase in productivity. This is known as Industry 1.0. Industry 2.0 was caused by the electrical energy and the mass production about 100 years later, when Henry Ford introduced the assembly line. With the mass production and the usage of electrical energy, there was a significant decrease in cost and hence a further increase in productivity. This is known as Industry 2.0. Then Industry 3.0 was in the 1960s and came with the introduction and usage of computers, which introduced the world to a faster and more capable form of processing capability. This marked the beginning of the information technology era for industry. So, here comes Industry 4.0. Developments in both technology and innovation are the main factors affecting industrial revolutions, and these revolutions have brought about significant changes in our way of working and living. Only in order to reach this point, we are offered that CBCS patent. Because of our liberty, we were able to fix the respective modules course content in order to achieve this Industry 4.0. Throughout history, there have been 3 industrial revolutions, and we are currently undergoing a transformation towards the 4th industrial revolution, that is known as Industry 4.0. So, when we consider about the manufacturing revolution from Industry 1.0 to Industry 4.0, the first 3 are related with evolution. The last one is suddenly a straight change and more developments are there. So that is belonging to the case revolution. And here are the principles related with Industry 4.0. The first one is interoperability. That consists of IoT and IOP. That means Internet of Things and Internet of People. And in the earlier days, we had our work by manually, But nowadays, if we have sufficient internet connection in our home, no need to have make much strain. Without a strain, we can give our own voice in order to functioning our electrical as well as our electronics items. So these are all achieved just by means of this Industry 4.0. Then information transparency, that is related with the digital plant models, virtual copy of the physical world. As one of the examples to this information transparency, just when you find the time, you please try to install Google Earth in your mobile, or you can also have the same thing in your laptop, wherever you may be. But whatever place you wish to see, even your own home can be seen by yourself by using that Google Earth app. So these are all the developments consisted included in this Industry 4.0. Decentralized decisions. The ability of cyber physical systems to make decisions on their own and to perform their task as autonomous as possible. In the earlier days, whoever found the answers to problems were awarded. But nowadays, this is Industry 4.0 era. So whoever tried to find the questions, problems will be awarded. That is the situation related with the Industry 4.0, because there are many online frauds are happening nowadays. So the cyber security is mainly focusing on those things. How it happens, that is the question. So if you identify that problem, you will be rewarded. This is known as the decentralized decisions. Then technical assistance, the ability of cyber physical systems to physically support humans by conducting a range of tasks. Many tasks can be done just by sitting our own place itself. Those technical assistance are done effectively only after the introduction of this 4.0. But these four principles are not listed, are not ended here itself. Yet we can develop many more principles by imparting our knowledge then and there, by developing our own innovations towards the same Industry 4.0. Next one is the advent of fourth industrial revolution age. That consists of these revolutions that leads the intelligent information society and the digital transformation. We all know in some of the places even the 5G wireless network also came to existence. All these are achieved with the help of Industry 4.0. Evolution means a gradual process in which something changes progressively from one state to another. Revolution means a total turnaround, a sudden, complete, or fundamentally radical change in something. So, after reading these two, we can definitely conclude Industry 4.0 is related with revolution. And today's factory versus Industry 4.0 having these networks in connection. That means conventional system environment, that is automated pyramid, will be shifted to a continuous integration and digitalization, and that will lead to locally controlled modules without hierarchy. There are many research streams related with the Industry 4.0, from individualization of production to end-to-end digital integration. Many more streams, they are not listed and they are not countable here. Then and there, many research streams are available. Even I can tell a very good tool in our mathematics. There is a tool available with the name known as Graspable Mathematics. If we use that tool, generally the mathematicians will find it tough to do many deriving problems related with algebra, but those problems can be done very simply by using that Graspable Math app. These are all one of the latest streaming research works done by Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 requires comprehensive digitalization of the horizontal and vertical value chains. In horizontal chain, supplier lead to company and company lead to customer. In such a way, they are all connected. And in the vertical chain, sales to productive development to planning, planning to purchasing, manufacturing, logistics, that will lead to service, that will give IT shared services, and finally that will give a very good finance, tax and legal. So some of the improvements may result from the digitization of processes and value chains are focusing on core areas in the individual value chain. In order to focus these one, where we have to concentrate it, first of all, we must have the sufficient knowledge that might be done in our curriculum, and the same thing can be reflected here. Reduction of redundancies in processes, minimizing quality losses, making processes more flexible and coherent. Here comes the building blocks of Industry 4.0. We can talk many things about Industry 4.0, but generally Industry 4.0 is related with these items: big data analytics, autonomous robots, simulation, horizontal and vertical systems integration, industrial Internet of Things, cyber security, additive manufacture, augmented reality. As I told already, this list is not ended here. Even by today, if we find anything new as given here, that will be added here in one more circle. So accordingly, we have to develop our knowledge through our education. We have to make our students to develop by themselves. And the same thing must be reflected in our research also. To conclude, the primary need of education is to make an influential individual to go ahead a flourishing life and contribute the best to the society, nation and humanity. Thus, education makes students to become valuable members of the workforce, and this is made possible by making the educational paradigms to be rebuilt alongside each new revolution in industry. Education necessitates the need to line up with Industry 4.0 and plan students for the next industrial upheaval, which will occur in the course of their lifetime. While significant distance learning and a huge amount of information is currently accessible to the internet insurgency, the structure of our education framework has still been left unchallenged. Tomorrow's industry leaders and managers must have new ranges of ability to adapt, to overcome, and to take advantage of Industry 4.0. They should be basic thinkers, problem solvers, innovators, communicators, and provide value-driven initiative. They should have the option to see beyond the technology at play to the suggestions for society for the use of the technology. They should realize the innovation yet have the option to meet and solve all aspects of the challenges engendered by this technology. This sort of pioneer requires new approach to education. So, on every day, we have to be updated. We must be ready to offer our own updated version to students so that the students can be developed it.
Excellent time management, Amudambige. It was neatly presented from your side. And now the forum is open for questions. And I think Mr. Senthil Kumar has already raised your hand. So you can very well ask your questions. Dr. Linga, I think we have to unmute them. We have to unmute the attendees now.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yes. And Mr. Senthil Kumar, you can very well proceed with your question. Dear participants, if you have any doubts, you can very well get it clarified now.
Hello,
Yes.
I am Dr. Lakshmi, Sharda College.
Yes, ma'am. You can proceed, ma'am.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
First, I congratulate Amudambige for having presented well.
Thank you, ma'am.
But the situation today, most educators strongly believe that the traditional method of teaching still remains as the best teaching method. Educators are facing nowadays very much difficulties to meet the current demands of the learners. In what way the industry 4 is going to accommodate doing during pandemic also? There is a pressure to meet the digital communication need. How to cope up with these problems? These are all very much innovations, very much appreciable. We like it. But will it be possible to bring enthusiasm and passion towards these?
Thank you, ma'am, for your question. And now, Dr. Amudambike, you can answer the question which was raised by Lakshmi, ma'am. Dr. Amudambike? Dr. Amudambike? Dr. Linga?
Ma'am, sorry, ma'am, I got my connection lost and rejoined just now.
It's
Please
all right. It's all right.
excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, you please
Yes.
ask your question now, ma'am.
Actually, the presentation was very nice and I like it, the change. But
Thank you.
today, most educators, we believe that the traditional method of teaching is the best teaching. And as educators, we constantly face the difficulties to meet the current demands of the learners.
Yes, ma'am.
And there is a sharp shift in the exam and assessment patterns.
Yes, ma'am.
But we have certain handicaps like pressure to meet the digital communication need, as well as the students are lacking enthusiasm and passion. So with
Accepted,
the
ma'am.
industry
So
for
how to overcome? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm ready to answer this question. And recently, UGC has instructed us to have online courses. 40% of online courses can be offered by us. This is what the thing they are in that way we are given instruction. And in order to do those things, definitely we must, there is no other choice, we must depend on these technological tools offered by Industry 4.0. Only with the help of Industry 4.0, nowadays we are taking classes
online classes we are taking. Even this webinar, how we are connected, more than 100 people are here. By sitting in our home itself, we are all connected. This was successfully achieved only with the help of Industry 4.0. If there is no such a source, we cannot be connected by means of such a webinar. Even then, it's not possible to share a little bit of knowledge with our students also. So definitely, even though the traditional methods are mostly liked by many of the professors, a few exceptions may be there, ma'am. I think so. Even when I compare with myself, I feel very comfortable to take online classes. I'm sure to make my students' attention by calling them then and there. Even though it is not possible to see them clearly, I may ask questions. By keep on asking questions, I may make my students' attention here. Of course, it is not possible at all the time, but there is no other choice. And the choice illa அப்படிங்கும்போது we may try to like it, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, I would like to add certain points too, because the Education 4.0 concentrates more on smart technologies. Okay. In that case, you can very well see that you can very well learn at the campus, at home, and then you can very well learn even at workplace. So this is the focus of 4.0. And next thing is that they want transition and transformation. Transformation of education is nothing but learning to learn. So the teachers as well as learners have to learn, and that is what they mean by stating learning to learn. And that is lifelong learning. So we have to adapt to all such changes, and we are moving towards it. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And I agree that you young chaps can accommodate very well.
No,
We manage the
no,
class
for teachers.
and we are giving enthusiasm and we encourage the students. We like the transformation, everything. But we have
Yes,
some
ma'am.
difficulty. That satisfaction we got already that we are not getting nowadays. This is only my opinion. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
In long run, it will be okay, ma'am.
And there may be some choices also, ma'am, to overcome problems.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, dear participants, if you have any doubts, you can very well get it clarified. Outside participants, you can very well use this raise your hand option so that we will unmute you so that you can very well raise your questions. Outside participants? Participants? If you have any questions, you can very well use even the Telegram link. Hello. Yes, sir. So we are not able to see this. Why don't you give it? You can type it out in Telegram, sir. We'll just. Dr. Linga, There's a participant with a question, and he states that he has given it in the chat box, but we are not able to see this. Dear participants, you can very well use your Telegram group, and then you can very well give your questions there if you are not able to find the chat box.
It's not there.
Yeah, it's not there, but he rang up and informed me that he has given it to the chat box. Dear participants. Dear participants, if you have any doubts, you can very well get it clarified now. We'll unmute you. Dr. Linga, I think we can unmute them all so that if they have any queries, they can very well ask us.
There's unmuted. We can,
Okay. So dear participants, we have unmuted you all. So if you have any queries, you can very well ask now. Hello. Hello. Sir, we are sorry, we are not able to see your question here in the chat box. Okay. Okay, then we'll take it in the right sense that there are no queries now. So Linga, we'll just check the chat box once again. So if there is no question, we'll just go for the vote of thanks. It's only nice and useful presentation, highly informative session, nice presentation. Okay, fine.
Ma'am, 1 second, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
I will. For this great opportunity, for offering me this great opportunity.
Okay,
Thank you
one
all,
second,
participants.
Okay, Amudapika, 1 second. We have this formal vote of thanks. Okay. And Dr. B. Amudambiga, you have very much, what to tell, very much dedicated, that you have given lot of time and effort and energy into this particular session, because you have given us what is OBE and then the advantages of learning OBE, and then what to teach and how to evaluate. You have given us something about the pyramid, and then what to tell program, as well as course outcomes, UGC quality initiatives, and then you talked about the website NEET, and then you shared the matrix also, and then the learning outcomes, curriculum design, OBE framework, and credits for online certificate courses, and the expected changes for OBE implementation. And then in a nutshell, you have just presented that what we, the teachers, should do, and then what the students can actually do after they are taught. Okay. And so it was very much informative, and then you had to tell us about the learner's competency and then the cognitive domain, which leads us to the Bloom's taxonomy. So everything was excellent. And then pertaining to education 4.0, you had given us in a nutshell about the 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0, and then about the Google Earth app, and then the fourth industrial revolution age, which leads to evolution, revolution which leads to evolution. You have talked even about the value chains, and everything was very informative, and you have neatly presented, and this is going to be take home message for all the teachers. Thank you, Ambike. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
we-
Thank you so much.
We thank all the participants. And then there was a call, but we couldn't retrieve the call. And unfortunately, we couldn't get the question, which was posed by one of the participants.
I checked
Yes, Linga. Yes.
the chat box, ma'am. That's
Okay. Did you get the question?
no, ma'am.
No. Okay. So unfortunately, we didn't get one of the participants posted it. Any doubts, you can very well use the Telegram link. So we'll be in a position to clear your doubts. Thank you, one and all. Thank you. And dear participants, we won't be giving you any feedback link today, but we have planned it in such a way that you will be given the feedback link tomorrow, that is on the 5th day, and then on the last day, that is on the 10th. So you can very well use the link only on the 5th, and that is on the 5th day and the last day. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Dr. Linga, I think we can very well end the meeting.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you, ma. Thank you.
Thank